Hello, everybody. Welcome to this series of Panda course. Today we will be looking at Pandas for reading JSON files. We'll be looking at Pandas for reading JSON files. So the first thing you need to know about JSON, JSON is a big data set. They often stored in data cloud or on online storage resources or storage materials or in data centers. So the big data sets are often stored in JSON too. So JSON is a plain text, but it has the format of an object and is well known in the world of programming today. Even in Python, we have what we can use to read JSON files. So we would be using a file called data.json. We'll be using a file called data.json. So I would upload the file onto my drive very soon. So how do you do with JSON files? It's the same method. You import your pandas as PD. Then you mention your data frame is equals to pandas.read underscore JSON. So then you put the path where you put the, so I will show you again the procedures we have to go through to upload the data onto the path. So I would quickly go to where I got my data from, and I'll put it on my laptop. All right, so now I'll put my data, it's already on my desktop. So then I would open a new tab like we did in the previous class. So you open a new tab like this. You would open a new tab, okay. So open a new tab and go to Drive. So from your drive, you would come here, you open a new one, open a new folder, say data JSON. So create it. So it's gonna open a file data.json, open it, then go to your desktop. You can go to your desktop. Then I'll pull my data, which is on my desktop, data.json here. Then I would allow it to load. So now it's loaded. So it's loaded already. So I've got my data.js here. So I'll go back here. Then I'll come over here. Well, I've got the three buttons. Then I will click on my folder. Then I already given access to my drive before. So I'll click here. It wants to revoke the access. So I will click again to give me access to it. So it's going to give me no access now. I'll connect it to my Google Drive. So I would then open this folder here. So I don't think this is where I have my file. So I need to be a bit patient. So let me try open it again. Drive. So this is a drive where I have my folder. So I click on drive. It says my drive. Then I click on my drive. I've got my data in JSON. So I click on it. So now I got my data in the JS. I'll copy the path. So then I would put the path. Instead of putting a path that might be too long, let me do this. Let me give it the variable path is equals to. So I'll put my path here. So this is the path to the folder I given a variable. So instead of putting the long thing here, I just put my path here. So that makes my work easier. It makes it neater. So I don't need all of this anymore. I close it. So now I've got to import. I've got my data already into my notebook. So now I can run it and see if there's no problem. So if there's no problem, that means everything is fine. So what is the next thing for me to do? I want to print. I want to say, how does my data look like? So we're going to say data frame dot to underscore string. Underscore string. So open a parenthesis. So I want to have my data in form of a string. So this is exactly what I'm trying to do here. So when you run it, this is the data I have in my JSON file. So when you use a toString, it's going to print everything for you. That's the main reason I use it. Otherwise, it's going to cut it. So JSON is just like is a Python dictionary. So a JSON object has the same format as a Python dictionary. So whereby you have value and you have key value. So if a JSON code is not a file, but in Python dictionary, so you can use a data frame to load it directly. So let's see how we can use that. Let's see how we can use that. It's a long one. So let's do it in another cell. So how do you do this? We would say import pandas. We already did that, there's no need. So then the data, we want to put the data directly. So we want to see how we can use the data in form of a data frame. So, but my data is very long. So if I'm going to put the data here, let's say, for example, I will take some section of it. So let me see my data. Let me open my data and see how it looks. So if I open my data set, it's not opening. Okay, this is the way so it opened for me on off. So this is how my data look like. So it's duration so long. So it's a long. So let me copy everything. We can use some other ID to open it, but it decided to open in my R Studio. It's okay. All I need is my data. So I will write the code, then I will import pandas as ppd. Then I will put my data in a format which it wants to be in. So let me try to pull the data I copied just now. So here we go. So this is the data I had just now. So it's been copied here. So this is everything we had. You can see this is a JSON file. It's how they look. So I think everything is okay here. Two parentheses, yeah. So now after we've got the data, so we want to put it in form of a data frame. So how do we do that? Remember the when we did that before. So you come down here and you will say data frame is equals to pandas dot data frame into parentheses. What is the name of my data? Did I call it data? Okay, I call it data. So my data set is called data. So data. So after this is done, then I would run it to see if there's no problem. Okay, let me just put all I need to put one time in. So print df. Sometimes I encourage my students, if once you have a very long file, just copy this code and put it into another cell. That makes your life easy. Cut it, and open another cell, put it inside. So you will not need to be driving up and down every time. So when you run this, it said there is a problem. My data is not, it said data is not defined. Okay, I've not run this cell here before. So I need to run this first where I've got my data set so that my data can be defined. So now it's got problems too. It's got problems. Yeah. Oh, there's a null value here. It says it's not defined. Yeah, these are some of the cleaning which we're supposed to do before you load your file. That's among the things you would have to understand. If you don't have a value for it, just put 0. So I think that would be better. So I was not thinking there would be a null file. So this is among the problems we used to have is you need to clean your file, clean your data before you use JSON. So whenever I find a null, I can also use some cleaning process, but because we didn't talk about that now, so it's going to be another topic entirely. So I would not use it. So I'm just trying to make you see how we can see this JSON file when you use a Pandas data frame. So I will just remove that manually now. So, but later on, I will show you the procedures you can follow to remove the null files from your data set, which is going to make it look very, very beautiful and easy to load. So let's try to load it again and see if it's still having a problem. So if it's still having a problem, so I would encourage that we just copy some of the data and we don't use everything. So, okay, there's still one null file here. Easy 0, there's another no. Okay, I think it should work now. So let me run it again. Everything is fine now. So the null values are gone. So since this is fine, then we can try to run this and it's gonna work. So now we have the data. Now you can see, like I told you before, the maximum number of data that can be released is fully is 60. Once it's more than 60, Pandas will automatically give you the first 5 and the last 5. And that's what you say. So this is how we can put our JSON data set onto Jupyter Notebook, and we can actually analyze it. Okay, if that is clear to everybody. Now let's work on how to analyze data itself, the data analysis. So now we're dabbling into the core of this course. So the first thing about Pandas data analysis. So the first thing about Pandas data analysis is what do you know about data analysis? How do you get your data? Where do you get it from? And how do you analyze it? So the first thing, if you want to work with the data set, is you have to view your data. You have to view your data. You have to know what kind of data it is.